Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to episode 261 of the Prancing Pony podcast, where, at last, it is time to drink the cup of farewell.
But let not your heart be sad, because it's my party, which means the cup is full of some really strong mead that'll get you blackout drunk.
Of course it is.
Folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Shawn Marchese, the Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the men of the West, for whom I've frankly just run out of clever things to say. Alan Sisto.
Well, I guess it means it's time for you to go.
Yep. See ya. Later.
Thank you, Shawn. And this time, I'm going to let you tell everyone what today's episode is about because, well, for me, the grief is still too near.
Oh, well, thank you, my friend. Well, look, here goes. For those of you who missed the news in our social media spaces and in the Rings of Power wrap-up, after over 6 seasons of doing the Prancing Pony podcast with Alan, I am stepping down from my role as permanent co-host of the Prancing Pony podcast, and this is my last episode.
Yeah.
But we have lots of good news, so don't worry. First of all, while I'm walking away as a full-time co-host, Alan is going to be keeping the pony open, and he is going to be welcoming some very special guests to join him in the common room to keep my seat warm.
Absolutely. That is right, folks. Now, look, I am certainly going to miss Shawn, but the common room at the Prancing Pony is going to see a lot of familiar faces and hear a lot of familiar voices this coming season. I'm going to be co-hosting groups of episodes with some of the biggest names in Tolkien fandom, including Corey Olsen, the Tolkien professor, Sean Gunner, the chair of the Tolkien Society, Matt from the Nerd of the Rings YouTube, and many, many more.
All right. That's exciting.
So
that is the first bit of good news. And man, is that ever good news. I'm super excited about that. Some of my favorite people to listen to or watch, and some great people that have been fun to hang out with. So I'm super excited that they're able to help you keep the pony open.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the second bit of good news, folks. I'm not going away forever. I will be returning to the Prancing Pony when I can from time to time.
That's right. We already have a plan, Shawn, for you to return several times this season to bring some of your fan favorite Philology Fair segments. And folks, Shawn is also going to be joining me for the chapter, The Battle of the Pelennor Fields, in the spring.
Which is spectacular news for me because it means I get to keep on being a great big word nerd on mic.
That's right.
And eventually, in the spring, when we get to the Pelennor Fields, I will be back on for a few episodes that are going to include my absolute favorite moment in all of The Lord of the Rings. So I'm already looking forward to coming back. And I guess that means that, well, to borrow an idea from one of our Patreon specials, this isn't farewell. It's just see you later.
That's right. And our last bit of good news is that we are going to be sending Shawn off in style with a look back at some of our favorite moments over the history of the PPP. Now, this isn't going to be a clip show. It's not about your favorite moments from the show. I'm sorry. I wish it were. It is us talking about our favorite moments from the 6+ years that we've worked together as co-hosts.
Yeah, so we're just going to be talking.
That's right.
We're going to be sharing some laughs, talking about some stories that maybe folks haven't heard, and hopefully not getting too emotional about all of this.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we talk about here might be things we've shared on the show before, or those of you who have hung out with us at Moots may have heard some of this stuff, but my hope is that there are going to be a lot of surprises here, just things you've never heard before about our experiences together as friends and partners and co-hosts.
And we will get into that as soon as we can, but first, and I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to do this again, so I'm doing it a lot now. We've got one more installment of the fan favorite, family-friendly, felicitous, and favorable Philology Fair.
Yes, before I'm flung far into the freeches of Funo's Foyer. But as we've already promised, it is not the final Philology Fair.
Fortunately not. Fomenting such fallacies would be foul and false. We will facilitate further installments as frequently as we find feasible.
Stop, or I'm walking out now.
All right, Shawn. What do you have for us tonight?
Too many Fs.
That was pretty bad. That was worse than like Fëanor, Fingolf, and Finrod. All the...
Yeah. More Fs than the Silmarillion.
Oh, man. Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right. Well, for this segment, Alan asked me to come up with a really good word to dig into. One that I wanted to make sure I did now, just in case I don't have a chance to do it later. Because while we do have a few Philology Fairs lined up for this season, we've already picked out words for all of them. So anyway, I spent some time thinking about it, and I realized that in 6 years, we have never had a chance to dive into the etymology of the term Middle-earth.
Oh, my goodness. You're right.
It's kind of strange, really. I mean,
it is.
As Tolkien fans, we use this word practically every day.
Yeah.
Often to the consternation of our beloved family members and significant others.
They just roll their eyes every time they hear the
Yeah.
word. Oh, that again.
But we've never stopped to do a full philology fair segment on it before now.
I think you're right.
We've come close to talking about it a few times. I think we indirectly talked about part of the etymology of Middle-earth in episode 197.
Mm-hmm.
That was when we were in the Treebeard chapter. And we dropped some hints even further back in episode 141, which was many meetings. And at least one bit of Old English poetry that we're going to go back to tonight is something we've been talking about since, well, literally since our first episode.
Since the very beginning, because that's a good place to start. Yeah, you're right. It was in our very first episode.
It was. But we've never delved into the etymology, aside from tracing the term Middle-earth to that poem that we're about to talk about. So anyway, let's do so now. And I'm going to start with one of Tolkien's letters. This is going to come from letter number 183, which actually is not really a letter at all. It's a set of notes that Tolkien wrote in response to his friend W.H. Auden's review of The Return of the King in the New York Times. This was in January 1956. Near the beginning of this document, Tolkien explains something that, well, we've talked about before, the idea that Middle-earth is meant to be our Earth in a forgotten ancient time. And he says that the name he uses is not his own invention. He says, and now I'm quoting, "Middle-earth is not an imaginary world. The name is the modern form, appearing in the 13th century and still in use, of Midden-Erde." And he's got like a little, what is that? It's like an angle bracket.
Yeah.
Is the name of that.
Which means it was replaced by, right?
Right, kind of that it changed into or replaced by Middle-Erde, an ancient name for the oikumene, the abiding place of men, the objectively real world, in use specifically opposed to imaginary worlds as fairyland, or unseen worlds as heaven or hell. And then a couple of years later, in the famous Rona Bear letter of 1958, that's letter number 211, Tolkien uses almost those exact same words to explain it again. He says, "Middle-earth is, by the way, and if such a note is necessary, not my own invention. It is a modernization or alteration of an old word for the inhabited world of men, the oikumene. Middle, because thought of vaguely as set amidst the encircling seas and, in the northern imagination, between the ice of the north and the fire of the south. Old English Midden-Erde, medieval English Midden-Erde, Middle-earth. Many reviewers seem to assume that Middle-earth is another planet."
That they do. And I think that's still a problem today. But I want to go back to one of the words you used. That's the second time that you've quoted Tolkien saying a word that I had not heard before. Oikumene. Now, what is that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, sir. Oikumene is a Greek word that means inhabited, and it was used in classical texts to basically refer to the entirety of the inhabited world. It's actually the origin of the Christian term ecumenical.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And this is a word that's used, to refer to like concepts and discussions that are meant to be universal or involving all people of the Christian world. You might hear of like a, ecumenical gathering or an ecumenical text or something like that. But it means basically universal, involving all people. Interestingly enough, it's also related to the prefix eco, as in ecology or economy. Both of those terms have their origins in the same Greek word, which basically means a dwelling or a house.
Oh, that's interesting. Definitely didn't know that.
Yeah. And, well, while I'm here, I might as well say that same Greek word, oikos, is related to the Old English root wick, which means dwelling or village. So when you see place names like Warwickshire and Sandwich, that actually comes from the same root that the Greek word is from. But I digress.
So when I want a roast beef sandwich, I might as well be talking about Middle-earth.
A sand house.
Or
or a sand world, a sand universe.
Tatooine.
There you go. Or Dune.
Dune. There you go.
Arrakis.
Excellent. So that's oikumene, but what about Middle-earth?
Oh, of course. Yes, the word we are actually here to talk about.
Yeah, kind of the point.
So regular listeners will remember well that the Old English term Tolkien cited in letter 211, Midden-Erde, has come up on the show before.
Oh, yes.
It's referenced in my favorite 2 lines of Cunewulf's Christ poem, which, of course, sparked the invention of the Middle-earth legendarium and my favorite character in it.
And let me guess, you're going to speak in Old English now, aren't you?
Of course I am, because I'm here and I've got to do this. I basically filled this segment with all the stuff I wanted to do before I leave. And the 2 lines of poetry are Ela erendel engla bertast over Midden-Erde monum sended.
Well, there it is. We all knew that was coming. Now, the OED tells us that Midden-Erde, meaning something like what Tolkien said in letter 183, the middle region between heaven and hell, and its inhabitants. Now, in Old English, that's very old. It's inherited from Germanic, which means it's older than the English language itself. And it appears in many of our favorite ancient English texts. It's in Caedmon's hymn, it's in Beowulf, and if we follow the word through its changes into Middle English, it's even in Lacheman's Brut.
Which you said very well, by the way.
Thank
That
you.
is not an easy name to pronounce.
It is not.
I don't think I could do it. Lacheman. I couldn't do it half as well as you just now did it. Yeah, you're right. It is in a lot of our favorite ancient English texts that we've talked about.
Yeah.
It's not in Ancrena Wisa, unfortunately, as far as I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's not cited in the Oxford English Dictionary as being in there. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I've read the entirety of Ancrena Wisa and verified that it's not in there. Anyway, Middenjord doesn't mean exactly Middle Earth. It actually means something more like middle yard or middle enclosure. According to Ring of Words, the compound has a long history and prehistory. It is a Germanic formation found in the oldest Germanic language, Gothic, recorded in the 4th century in the form Midjungards. The first element being related to English mid, and the second element ultimately the same word as yard.
That is interesting. And it's certainly worth pointing out because, like we talked about in episode 197, when we talked about the name Isengard, that second part, yard, is not the word for earth. It meant an enclosed area like a yard or a garden, both of which come from it, but also could mean an enclosed world in Old English and other Germanic languages. Norse mythology fans and Marvel Comics fans will recognize the Gard from Asgard, as well as the common name for Earth in those stories, Midgard.
Which always makes me think of Karl Urban in Thor Ragnarok with his 2 assault rifles.
Yes.
I pulled him out of a place on Midgard called Texas.
Of course it reminds you of that.
Well, because the theater, in Texas.
In Texas, that's right. That's right, man.
Died when he said that.
That's brilliant.
Anyway.
So Middenjord didn't evolve directly into Middle Earth. If it had stayed in English like that, it seems like it would have turned into a word like Middle Yard. Now, thankfully, it didn't do that. It seems to have disappeared around 1300.
Middle Yard Legendarium just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Middle Yard Legendarium. No, it's not the same at all.
Are you one of those Middle Yard fans? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Proud Middle Yard fan since 1991.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, going back to Ring of Words, we're told that by the 12th century, its form had changed, with the loss of the G, pronounced as a Y, to Middenjord. The first part of the compound having now become unfamiliar, it was remodeled as Middle-Erde, the second element of which was understood as the word Erde, meaning region.
Okay.
That form, Middle-Erde, first appears in the Ormulum in 1175. And I don't know if we've talked about the Ormulum before, but it is a really interesting one to word nerds because it offers a really important look at Middle English pronunciation and word evolution at a really transitional period in the history of the English language. But I digress again, and we really do have to get this episode on the road.
Yeah.
Middle-Erde also appears in some of our other important works of the period. It is also in Lacheman's Brut, as well as the yard form is also in that poem, as you said. And it's also in one of our favorite and Tolkien's favorite Middle English poems, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Oh, wow. Now, the thing is, though, that form also seems to disappear from use after a few hundred years. The authors of Ring of Words tell us that the word Erde became unfamiliar in its turn and was replaced around 1300 by the familiar word Earth, giving the compound that we know and Tolkien used, Middle Earth. Now, that form also appears in Lacheman's Brut. And Lachemann really used every form of that word he could find. It appears in Shakespeare's works around 1600, the writings of Sir Walter Scott and Nathaniel Hawthorne in the 1800s, and then, as cited in the OED in both 1937 and 1954, the works of J.R.R. Tolkien.
That's right. When you worked at the OED, they always remember that, and they'll give you a shout out any chance they can.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that 1954 entry was the Fellowship of the Ring. And you might assume that the 1937 entry was The Hobbit, but actually, don't be fooled into that, because you may recall from our discussions in Season 2, Tolkien never actually used the term Middle Earth in The Hobbit. The work that the Oxford English Dictionary cites Tolkien using the word in 1937 is actually Ambarkanta in The Shaping of Middle Earth, which is History Middle Earth Volume 4.
Wow, I'm impressed that the folks at the OED actually know The Shaping of Middle Earth, let alone Ambarkanta.
I know. That's a deep cut.
Of course, Tolkien did work for the OED. Like you said, they're likely to give him a shout out. They're certainly probably all fans of him there.
Probably the reason a lot of them work there.
Probably true. Like half the people that work at the OED now, it's like, I got a job here because Tolkien worked here. I'm a Tolkien fan.
Totally. And I'm sure they love that Tolkien complicated the capitalization too, because before Tolkien, it was commonly just Middle Earth, all lowercase.
Yep.
It was Tolkien who popularized the convention that we follow as Tolkien fans, at least when talking about his writings, capital M hyphen lowercase e.
That's right. And it's absolutely right. And folks, that is the only correct capitalization to use.
That's right. Now, before we wrap up, it is worth sharing one other tidbit from Ring of Words. The authors point out that Tolkien's early writings do not use the term Middle Earth at all.
That's right.
In early writings, the lands east of the Great Sea are called the Great Lands, the Hither Lands, or the Outer Lands. Tolkien's earliest poem about Eärendil, written in 1914, does refer to the Mid-World's Rim, but the term Middle Earth is never used in the Book of Lost Tales, and, as we just discussed, does not appear in The Hobbit. It seems to have been adopted in the writings of the later 1930s.
That's right. And we're glad it was. But now it's time to actually get to your farewell. We're going to go ahead and talk about our experience over the last 6.5 years. And I suppose I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it having to end. But like we said, you're not going away forever. You're coming back with 8 philology fairs this season, if all works out, and you're coming back for the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. So I'll just keep that in mind.
Exactly. That's the thing to keep in mind. This is not, like I said, it's not farewell. See you later.
That's right. Well, let's go ahead and start with a question that a lot of people have been asking. I've fielded this question more often than any other in the last, several weeks since you broke the news. I think some people are genuinely concerned. Shawn, do you want to talk a little bit about why you're leaving the show?
Well, I guess I just want to curtail any speculation about, my health or anything like that. Because I've had a few people reach out to me like, oh, are you healthy? Or is your wife healthy? And yes, we are. We're all doing fine. Mm-hmm. My wife and I are healthy. My kids are doing fine. Extended family's doing great. Actually, I had some sick people in my extended family for a while. They're actually doing better. It's really just stuff with life kind of catching up. There's some stuff going on with my day job. Mm-hmm. And, as much as I love this podcast, I am not able to do it full time, unfortunately.
No, we're still a ways off from that point. Yeah.
We are quite a ways off from that point. And so I do need to make sure that I'm able to continue to give that the focus it deserves. And it's not like it hasn't been getting that focus, but
no,
between my day job and the podcast, it has taken me away from a lot of other things. And
that's fair.
There's things in life that are kind of starting to pile up. And, my kids are getting older.
They are.
And I want to make sure that I have time with them when they're still young. And I think it's just, we're getting to a point where I think if I were to keep trying to keep all these plates spinning, I would get to a point where I'm not giving the podcast the attention it deserves. And rather than get to a point where Alan feels like he's doing all the work and I'm still here, kind of soaking up half the credit, I don't want it ever to get like that. So it just seems like the right time to be able to focus on some of these things. And that's what it's all about. But again, everybody's healthy. Life is actually on the verge of some really great things.
That's
so
good.
I'm just kind of taking a step back from this to focus on some other things.
Well, and it's never good timing, but this is better timing than, let's say, mid-season. If you kept pushing and found out in January that you couldn't keep doing this, it would have been a lot harder to transition to what I'm doing for season 7 now. So, it's best to do it during hiatus so that we could prepare accordingly for the rest of the show. So,
yeah. Well, and that was that was why I kind of sprung it on you a little bit more than I wanted to.
You can't just ease me into that, though, in fairness. That's not the kind of thing.
No, I mean, there really was no way to do it. No. So it was something that I hit upon really suddenly in the midst of this hiatus. And I told Alan as soon as I could.
Yeah.
You've been super supportive of it. Interestingly, the kids are a little bummed. Like, they're like, you're not going to be doing the podcast anymore. I'm like, no, because, I think they still think it's cool, but I keep on reminding them, like, I'm still like a huge Tolkien fan. Like, I'll still happily sit there and tell you stories about Beren and Luthien at bedtime,
That's right.
It's a good thing. It's all good stuff.
Good.
My wife has been super supportive for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
She has always been my rock and the thing that keeps me grounded in life. And
good.
She's sad, but she's also happy because it's going to mean more time with me. And that's all good. So
that is indeed good. Well, let's go ahead and move away from that and into our favorite moments. I mean, really, that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about all the amazing times that we've enjoyed over the last 6.5 years, to share those moments with our listeners. And so let's just dive in at, what do we call it? The very beginning, right?
The very beginning, because it is a very good place to start.
Recently on Facebook, I posted the message, a screenshot of the message that I sent you in, I believe it was December of 2015, saying, hey, what do you think about doing a podcast? You remember that?
Was it December? For some reason, I thought it was January.
It might have been January, but I thought it was December.
I think I didn't get it for a long time because we weren't actually Facebook friends at the time.
No, we weren't. We were
like we had been
only acquaintances.
Right. I mean, we'd been talking in the slash group with the really long name.
Yeah.
The Silmarillion / Children of Hurin / The Hobbit / Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Still a great Facebook group.
Oh, absolutely.
That we're both active in. But so we'd been, I mean, as we've told this story a million times, we had met each other through that, and we certainly knew each other. We talked to each other. We, I think, certainly looked for each other's posts and comments, but we weren't actually Facebook friends.
No.
And so when you sent me a message on Facebook Messenger, which is the only way you had to get a hold of me,
that's right.
It went into that little black hole where messages from non-friends go, and I didn't see it for like a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, I mean, you did post that message, and I remember, I think I was on a plane when I saw it for the first time because I
think you were traveling. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Traveling for work. Yeah. And, I was like, what is this weird Facebook message? Like,
why is this in my message requests folder? What's this about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I opened it, it's like, oh, it's from that Alan guy. And then it's like, basically, do you want to start a podcast? I was like, 3 weeks old by that time. I was like, oh man, he's probably already picked somebody else.
Well, fortunately it had been the holidays. And so I hadn't really pursued anything. I just thought, well, he'll get back to me and he'll get back to me. And in the meantime, I was just dreading the idea of trying to do one solo because I was like, man, I do not want to do that. I do not want to do that.
No, you didn't. And honestly, I mean, I think you would have done fine with a solo podcast. I think you sell yourself short. I mean, look, a 2-man podcast has been fantastic. And I think it wouldn't have been nearly as successful if it was just you doing it.
Absolutely. I mean,
there's a lot of good 1-man podcasts out there.
There are. Corey Olson is the one that comes to mind, which is exactly why I didn't want to do one by myself.
Well, that's fair.
But it was great. And, and after that first little back and forth in Facebook Messenger, we had our very first phone conversation. It might have actually been Skype now that I think about it. Does anybody still use Skype? But we had a call, able to actually talk to each other so we could hear each other's voices for the first time. That was interesting.
That was the first time we heard each other's voices.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of course we'd only been in a Facebook group, and this was 2016.
I remember my wife actually hearing me talking to you and like later on saying like, I can see why he wants to do a podcast. He's got a really nice voice.
Oh, whoa. Did she say it that way? He's got a really nice voice. Like you don't. That's terrible.
She probably said it nicer than that. When we were dating, she used to say like, oh, you got a nice voice when we were dating, but she hadn't said it for a long time. I think she'd just gotten used to it. But then you come along and you really do have a nice voice. It's like, oh, this is what a man's voice sounds like.
What we're going to do. And she hadn't even heard my, barrel wide voice.
Thank goodness. My gosh.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, so what? We had that first call.
Yeah, that would have been January or maybe. Yeah, that would have been January 2016 because
it must have been because I think we launched that first horrible teaser that's been lost to time.
The one I deleted from our feed ages ago, and some people still have, and I just want to like somehow reach down to their devices and delete them. Yes.
Yeah, that thing hopefully is rarer than a 1968 Pink Floyd bootleg by this point. Because
so cheesy.
Was that when we actually started brainstorming the name, or did we just like say like we're going to do this?
That was when we started brainstorming the name of the show. We went back and forth with some emails. I think I still have those emails, of course, where we were back and forth about like what we could call different segments of the show, what we would, call the show itself, and coming up with some really terrible bad ideas, but some of them were very good. I mean, that was the whole idea. This was brainstorming. Come up with everything we can and see what sticks.
I can't. Do you remember any of the other bad names we came up with?
Not off the top of my head. Maybe we'll have to do a P5 for 261.
Maybe. Well, I mean, we both hit on the alliteration pretty quickly.
We did. Yeah.
Right from the beginning, we knew exactly what we wanted the format to be. I think because
that did come pretty quickly. You're right.
Well, I think it's just because that's what we had kind of bonded over on Facebook was, again, we've said this so many times, the whole book week post thing.
Right.
And it was just like you pick a passage, you post it, and you talk about it. The idea from the very beginning was, hey, let's do that on a podcast.
That's exactly right. And we knew from the very beginning that we wanted to start at the Silmarillion. We actually wanted to dive in that early and start with the Silmarillion and then move forward. We knew that's how we wanted to go with the Hobbit after that and the Lord of the Rings after that. Not that we thought that we'd actually get that far. I think you and I were both like, well, if we get halfway through the Silmarillion, that'll be all right.
we set our sights pretty low.
We
really.
did, man.
We did.
We really did.
Yeah.
We thought, well, we've got a lot of people that read these book week posts. We might get 50 people, maybe 100 people to listen.
Well, and at first, what do we have? Like maybe 25, 30 the first
I think
episode?
we got 70 the very first episode.
Did we get that many
I think
the first
we had like
episode?
70
Okay.
within the first 24 hours. Though it might have been the same 10 people downloading it 7 times each because it was, I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah. It was a long episode, though. In fact, it was too long. Remember, we were going to do On Fairy Stories and Mythopoeia in the first episode.
We tried.
I laugh now. That's so optimistic. And we basically got through the biography and a little bit of On Fairy Stories.
That sounds right.
Well, no, we finished On Fairy Stories, but it wasn't much biography.
That sounds about right. Honestly, I haven't listened to it in
I know.
years. I can't listen to it
And yet
anymore.
it is far and away our most downloaded episode, of course.
Well, of course, because they listen to it once and they think these guys suck, and then they stop listening.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's a reason why episode 1's been downloaded twice as many times as episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5.
We actually went back how much later, and we actually recorded a little intro.
We did
that said,
a little
hey,
director's cut going, we get better.
we know this episode is not spectacular, but please keep listening. It does get better.
It does. We got better.
And I know people always give us grief about that. Oh, stop being so hard on yourselves. I don't think we can be any other way. I mean,
No.
the reason the show has gotten better is because we listened to that first episode and we thought,
That's exactly right.
it's fine, but we want it to be so much more.
Yeah.
And so we just worked really hard on making it what we wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet we never George Lucased the first episode.
Oh,
we didn't go
goodness,
back
no.
and actually re-record it or add Jabba the Hutt into it or anything like that.
Jabba the Hutt. That'd be great, actually.
We just put that little note on it so that
Uh-huh.
people know it gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. We did talk about going back and doing another extended couple of seasons on the Silmarillion, but they wouldn't replace season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Still might make that happen someday.
I hope so.
I'm not saying never on that.
Well, good to know. I'm really glad to hear that because I can't imagine doing that without you. I mean, I will. Don't get me wrong, but I'd
know.
rather do it with you.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but I can understand why episode 1 is listened to so often because then some people would have gotten to 3 and 4, our ill-advised solo episodes.
Yeah.
We just talked about solo maybe being possible, but you know what? It was just too early.
Yeah, I think so. I
If
mean,
we'd done it later and knew what we were doing, maybe.
maybe. Yeah, I think for my part, I was trying too hard to be like some of my favorite solo episodes, which
Yeah.
are like a lot of like history podcasts and things like that.
Mhm.
And I don't think it worked for the history of Quenya and Sindarin, which was what my
No.
episode was on.
And I had just recently narrated a World War I audiobook that was, and of course, so when I did it on the influences of World War I on Tolkien, I sort of kind of took that same tone. So, sure, they're out there. We're not going to delete them. We're not going to pretend they don't exist.
No,
But-
they were cool. They
Yeah.
were a fun experiment.
I think we were trying at the time, we had this vague idea that if we throw out a bunch of content all at once, that maybe somebody at Apple will be like, ooh, new and noteworthy. And then we would just blow up overnight.
That's adorable in hindsight,
Isn't it?
But
It
yeah,
is
I
absolutely
think that was what
hilarious.
we were trying to do.
Because how amazing would it have been to get new and noteworthy?
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I
Yeah.
remember actually hearing Corey Olson talking about how that happened for him. He had been doing the Tolkien Professor podcast for a certain period of time. Not a very long time, several months, I think it was. And he was getting typically, a couple hundred downloads a night. He had the podcast server personally on his own computer at his home. That's he wasn't
Wow.
hosting it with a service. And Apple put it on new and noteworthy. He talked, I can't remember the story details, but he went the next morning and no, his computer hadn't melted down, but he got the report and it was like, 8,000, 10,000, 20,000 in
Wow.
a single night. And it just absolutely exploded from there. And so I think there was a part of me that was like, well, that could be us.
But it can't be us because he's already done it.
Exactly.
And nobody else is going to do it.
Exactly. And I love how it went for us as well. Anyway, the growth that we've had has been really neat to see. But
And it's one of those things like Corey was he was the first Tolkien podcast as
he
far
was
as I
the
know.
OG Tolkien podcaster.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there were a couple of other ones. I mean, there might have been 2 or 3 that were around when we
Mhm.
started.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think 1 or 2 of them might still be going.
I think 1 or 2 of them were already inactive. I don't remember which ones were around at the time, but there were a couple of smaller ones.
But
yeah,
I mean, it has really blown up since us. I mean,
it's amazing how many shows are in the Tolkien space.
and I'm all for that. I think that's
I am
great.
too.
There's actually been a few that, I mean, there's been a couple that we've guested on, which have been
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
There have been a couple that I never got to guest on, but I made friends with the hosts and, listened to really, as closely as I listen to our own show.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of good stuff out there, but I guess it's just with, the series coming out and everything, Tolkien is coming back around to the popular conversation. I think there's a lot of people seeing, hey, well, I'm a Tolkien fan. I've got something to say about this. And I think that's great.
One of the things I love about podcasting is that podcasting is collaborative and not competitive. And it isn't about market share because there is no such thing. The pie is getting bigger. So it's not as though somebody else gets some downloads, you can't. It's just not that way at all. And in fact, the more we help each other, the higher the tide rises and all the ships, do even better. So, I love being able to work with these other shows, and it's neat to hear some of them talk about how we are an inspiration.
Yes, a few of them have said that. I think that's awesome. Yeah.
Because Corey was, of course, an inspiration for me to come to you and say, let's do this thing.
Yeah. And Corey was, so I actually, believe it or not, I shouldn't say this out loud because he's replacing me next week, but
that is true.
I hadn't actually listened to Corey's podcast before.
That's right,
before you started talking about it. It wasn't right when we started doing this. It was, you had talked about it in the Facebook group.
Yeah,
I think
I had been listening to, at that time, I'd started at the beginning. So it was when they were just literally university lectures, right? He was doing a class on Tolkien and at a physical, brick and mortar school. And
right.
I'd been listening. And I thought, well, the last thing I want to do is a solo podcast and look like I'm just, imitating this guy because
right. Yeah.
He's got more knowledge in his little finger than I do in my whole brain.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. And that's why I wanted to start a 2-man show and just create a whole different chemistry. But
yeah. And I think that was actually, I think you posted about that in the group, or somebody posted about, just, I don't know, just stuff we did that wasn't Tolkien related. And
right.
I think you talked about doing VO,
mm-hmm.
and you might have talked about listening to podcasts and listening to Corey's podcast.
Yeah.
And I posted something about, I like to listen to podcasts, and I'd love to start a podcast someday. And then that's what spurred you to reach out to me.
That's exactly what it was. Cause you said how neat it would be to do a podcast someday. I thought, well, I've got my guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so long ago.
So long ago. But you know what we started doing almost right away? Tolkien Reading Day.
Tolkien Reading Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one came out because, our show came out in February of 2016. So the very next
mm-hmm.
month for episode 6 for us was the very first Tolkien Reading Day. And we've done one every year since. They are some of our favorite episodes, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was the very first. I think I did a bit from the Tale of Aragorn and Arwen.
Yeah, that sounds right. They do sort of blend together. It'd be hard for me to remember exactly which one was which.
For some reason, I think that theme that year, 2016, somebody will call me out if I'm wrong, but I think the theme was death and immortality.
That sounds right, because that lent us some ideas for episode 10, which was
that's right.
The Barnland's bag question that became an entire episode, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was, we tried to put it in episode 9.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up getting so much material on it that by the time we wrapped up episode 9, we're just like, we can't possibly fit this in here.
No.
And we ended up getting like a whole, hour and a half?
I think about an hour and a half out of it. Yeah. Death is a gift. And that was one that really kind of sparked us a little bit, didn't it?
Well, it caught the attention of Andy Higgins.
Oh, that's right.
Andrew Higgins had just published A Secret Vice, or,
he and Dimitra Fimi, yeah.
Or his critical edition of Tolkien's A Secret Vice with Dimitra Fimi.
Right.
And, they were kind of active on Twitter, getting the word out about the new book.
Sure.
And he saw our episode, and I guess he listened to episode 10, and he liked it, and he posted about it. He shared it. I reached out to him, and we just kind of had a brief Twitter exchange, and he basically said, hey, if you want to have us on to talk about the new book, let us know. We'll come on.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. Of course we never talked about doing interviews.
No, we didn't think that we'd ever be able to get interviews.
No. And so here you've got like 2 Tolkien scholars who've just published a new book. Yeah, of course you can come on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Please.
And so we did have them on. That was episode 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one came out in September 2016.
Yeah, because we were still at that point only doing them every other week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, that gave us the idea of doing more interviews, which we'll get to, because that really did give us some confidence.
Yeah.
Probably misplaced at that point in our professional careers, but it gave us the courage to reach out to some fairly sizable names.
Yeah.
But we'll get to those in a minute because we're kind of going in order, right?
Oh, come on. We can talk about them now. We don't have to stay in strict chronological order. I mean,
Simon Tolkien and John Garth were the names that come to mind because those are the next ones that season, weren't they?
They were. And Simon Tolkien was the next one after Andy and Dimitra, wasn't he? I mean,
which was pretty amazing talking to Simon Tolkien.
Pretty bold. I mean, we've done one interview.
One.
And for our second one, we're like, I don't know, let's reach out to Tolkien's grandson. Why not?
Well, the only reason that I even had the courage to do it is that he was releasing his new book. And there were some bits where it was clear he was doing promotional stuff. And I thought, if that's the angle I take, we can get him on. And of course, we ended up having to spend about 80% of the interview just talking about his book, which was good enough on its own. I mean, I'm totally not criticizing the book. It was great. But the highlight, of course, was the last few minutes where we got to talk to him about personal memories of his grandfather. But of course, the highlight was, getting to hear his personal recollections, his memories of his grandfather. I mean, I love talking about his book. I read it and it was actually a really enjoyable book. I love historical fiction though. So for me, it was, just an enjoyable read right up my alley.
It was a fun read.
But that was really amazing. I still remember when he called me back and my heart was just like jumping out of my body. I could hardly keep my heart rate down. And I was so nervous and so intimidated. But he was very kind, and it was really nice.
He was very kind. He was surprisingly easy to talk to.
Yeah, he was.
And
he really was.
He put us very much at ease and just was a very nice guy.
I would love to talk to him again, right? I mean, now that he's in this situation where he's consulting with Amazon on Rings of Power,
yeah,
fantastic. Somehow I think that's not going to happen for a little while. There's probably
not.
Some,
he's probably
some NDAs.
He's probably under several NDAs.
Yeah.
But it was our next guest who ended up becoming a frequent visitor to the Prancing Pony podcast.
That's
John Garth,
right. John
was
Garth.
on episode 44 and such a fantastic guy, has been a friend to us ever since.
Yep.
He's come on the show, 5-6 times?
Yeah.
We caught up with him in Oxford earlier this year.
That's right.
He jumped on one of our videos just out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Just a great guy. And somebody I'm really happy I've had the chance to get to know through this podcast.
Me too.
There's a short list of people that I'm really, really happy that I had a chance to meet, and John Garth is right near the top of that list.
Very much on that list, absolutely.
And then by the time we got to Corey, Corey was episode 52. By the time we got to Corey, that was our number 4 interview. We kind of knew what we were doing at that point.
And I don't remember now whether that was the last episode of what would turn out to be our first season, because we didn't think about seasons when we started. At the time, Apple Podcasts didn't support seasons. When they did go with that feature, we thought, that would probably be good. Why don't we start the next week with season 2? We didn't take a break between seasons 1 and 2. It was just literally straight to The Hobbit. But I think maybe Corey was our opener for that. That 50 and 51 are episodes on the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy films. Those were the end of season 1, I think.
I think that's right.
I don't remember how we broke that down. But before we move on to season 2, I still have to say, I think I loved our very first Father Christmas Letter special, the one that made us feel like terrible fathers.
Yeah.
And now we know why you're leaving the Prancing Pony podcast, so that you can spend 10 months out of the year writing letters from
Father Christmas to my kids. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then right after that, we had the birthday special because we just happened to be experiencing the 125th birthday of the professor on January 3rd of 2017. So that was a lot of fun. I think that was our first one with audience participation, wasn't it?
I think so.
We had, not counting the mailbag, but we had a whole bunch of people write in with, just kind of like, what was it? It was like favorite moments, special, like how Tolkien's work was special to them. And we had some great stories from people. People who had like met their significant others, moved across oceans to marry people because of, a shared Tolkien love. Fantastic stuff.
It really, really was.
That was a great one.
Well, we mentioned briefly those video episodes, the ones on the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, with all the difficult production that went into that, right? Because you and I had to figure out how to use this software where I could take your video coming in on a Google Meets. I could take my video off my webcam. I could take the audio from my mic, the audio from your feed, and then, play clips from the films with sound and changing graphics and all of this. It was a production folks. I still don't know how
I'm
to pull
impressed
it
that
off.
you managed to do it all while actually performing. I mean, you were like,
Yeah.
you went straight to directing and starring in your first feature, basically.
I really did. I mean, it was pretty intimidating, and we figured it out. But boy, it was not easy. And to be honest, the videos of those no longer exist on YouTube because we had to abandon our YouTube channel thanks to potential copyright strikes and concerns that the Saul Zentz company, well, it's not them anymore, it's the Embracer Group that own those rights. But
Right.
that we would end up getting some sort of cease and desist. And even though we knew what we were doing was legit and totally covered under the fair use doctrine, the thing is that the fair use doctrine is a defense that you use in litigation. I was not willing.
We didn't want to go to litigation.
Or capable of handling litigation
No,
with a rights holder. So
it just wasn't worth the headaches. I think it was the right choice. It's a bummer because those video episodes were pretty cool.
They were. Maybe I can sneak those onto Vimeo.
Yeah, maybe we get them out there somewhere.
I like keep them private and like send people links and stuff.
Because they're about as rare as like 1972 Pink Floyd bootlegs at this point. Not as rare as the
not the
1968 ones.
No, those are really rare.
Right. Did we ever tell the story about how we had to record? Was it one of those episodes we had to record
the first
twice?
one? We had to record it twice. Yeah, you know how we were just talking about directing and starring in my first thing? Well, I wasn't a very good director the first time.
the first take
we
didn't go that well.
Didn't push the record button.
I remember
it was a weird UI. Like it had the red button, but it was. I guess it was because it was queued up. It was ready to go, so it was flashing. So it made me think it was recording. I don't remember, but it was like the UI made me think it was recording, and I thought, well, it must be recording. And yeah, I'm
it
sure
was so funny.
That.
I mean, at the time it was not funny.
No, at the time it was
devastating.
Pretty miserable
because we just recorded our usual 2-hour episode, and we just finished it up, got through with all of our usual. I mean, by this time our chemistry was good.
Oh yeah,
we were riffing. There's a lot of great stuff that came out in the moment, and suddenly we ended, and then we minimized everything, and then I just hear Alan say, "Oh God." Oh God. Like, what? He's like, Shawn, I didn't hit record.
Oh man. Oh, that was awful.
And I was like, what? You're like,
yeah,
all of that stuff. It just the thing you said, I will never forget. Like, all of that stuff just went out into the air.
Yeah, that's about right. Oh, it was terrible. I felt so bad. And because, of course, we were using a different tool, right? At that point, we'd been using not Zencastr, which is what we use now, which is a great service. But we'd been using this hodgepodge. I think we were using Skype and an audio capture application. What was that called that I was using?
Audio Hijack, wasn't it?
That's what it was. Audio Hijack, which is a great product, but it's very much sort of.
And then you were using Twisted Wave, I think, to mix it live.
Yeah, we were basically mixing it live down to a single MP3, so it was already compressed and already into a single track, which was terrible for editing.
And that's why that first season still my audio doesn't sound great, because it was recording me over IP,
right,
and then recording on your end.
That's correct. Man. Yeah, that was disaster. I remember that.
That was it's a fun story, though.
It is a fun story. It's fun now because it's not happening, and it hasn't happened again. I think we've only had one real problem with Zencastr in an episode. We've had a few technical glitches here and there, but I think we've only had one that was a real problem. But for the most part, it works fine.
Yeah.
At least when it's the two of us. When we have 8 guests on a Questions After Nightfall, it can get a little hairy. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Did we start using Zencastr right after that?
Season 2. Yeah. The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I think we did it with Corey. I may be wrong on that. It might have been right after. But,
okay.
Because I don't remember having to use Audio Hijack anymore.
Because that's when we launched Patreon, and we suddenly had a little bit of funds coming in.
Yeah. It wasn't much. It was funny because we started bringing in revenue right away, more than we expected. But because we had each sunk so much into the podcast for that first year and a half, we actually weren't in the black until, I think, November, even though we started pulling in money in August.
Okay, that sounds right.
But we did bring in some cash. We were able to use that to go ahead and get a Zencastr membership and to start, sinking a little bit more, investment into the show to make it better. But that's the thing. When we launched Patreon, and we didn't launch it until we'd been around for a year and a half, we were really surprised. We said, get us to what was it, $250 a month? Which I giggle at now.
Yeah.
But get us to $250 a month and we'll go weekly.
Yeah, that was, man.
That was...
In hindsight, we probably should have set the bar a little higher.
A little higher, because that happened within a week. I mean, seriously, within a week, we're like, well, I guess we're doing weekly shows now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That happened very, very quickly indeed. Fantastic.
But that was cool, because that allowed us to just,
oh yeah.
I mean, we got to start making better progress and, continue to progress through the books without completely flying through it. Like we flew through the Silmarillion in season 1, as Corey Olsen likes to remind us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also told us there is really a built up demand for this. Like there's an audience here. It's not just that we're getting random downloads from, bots in Eastern Europe. We're getting actual people who are willing to invest in us and in our show. And that really gave us the encouragement we needed to say, okay, let's do weekly, right? Let's make this a thing. That was fantastic.
But it is still the bots in Eastern Europe that are my first love, because they were our first supporters.
They were.
We gotta give them credit.
I kept wondering why we were getting downloads in like Moldova or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful. Good stuff. Well, so that kind of moves us in then to 2018, right? By this point, of course, we felt like we knew what we were doing. We'd done the Silmarillion for a couple of years. We were working our way through the Hobbit.
Yeah.
And we did this really cool thing in the Hobbit season 2, where just about the entire season, the titles were all Monty Python references.
Almost every single episode.
I mean, obviously the QANs were not. And and we did do, I think, the Beorn chapter, we did some bear jokes, because I think we talked about the bear necessities. And I think we had
the Mirkwood chapter, we did Sting references.
Yes.
There was like, if you love somebody, cut them free. For when Bilbo cuts the dwarves out of spider web, stuff like that.
But the rest were all Monty Python, and it was fantastic.
Every single one. And we did this on a dare from Tom Hillman.
That's right.
I will never forget. Tom reached out to me on Twitter. We were chatting about something. He didn't reach out to me just for that, but we were talking about something, and he's like, it would be really funny if you did a whole season of just Monty Python themed episode titles. I'm like,
well, funny you should ask.
Challenge
Tom.
Accepted, sir.
That's right. Lay down the gauntlet. Here we go.
Picked it right up. My favorite was the last episode where we recapped The Hobbit and we called it No Shrubberies. Because there hadn't been any shrubberies.
There hadn't been.
So it was accurate.
It was 100% accurate. That was such a fun season with the titles. I think I probably laughed more at those titles than any other.
Oh, yeah.
The blurbs, though, kept getting better. I mean, as good as they were in season 2, those got even better. But the titles, that was definitely a highlight.
Thank you. I've always had fun writing those blurbs.
Those are so much fun.
It's been a joy.
Well, you know what else was fun in 2018? Was the very first time you and I met in person at Mythmoot 5.
I remember. Yep.
And it was episode 88. So, folks, we'd done 87 episodes before running into each other.
I remember that.
And it was sort of anticlimactic. We were both like, yeah, we're going to be there. It's going to be good to finally meet you. And you're in the little speakeasy where they're going to have the pub quiz.
Yeah. Because I got there before you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there a couple of hours before you. I remember DeMay picked me up at the airport.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She picked me up and she picked up Douglas Anderson, editor of the Annotated Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to ride from the airport to the National Conference Center in DeMay's car, our own DeMay in Alaska.
That's right.
Driving me and Douglas Anderson, which was
fantastic.
One of my favorite car rides in the entire history of my life.
Ever.
DeMay driving and Doug Anderson just talking. It was great.
Mm.
I don't think I said anything the whole time. I just sat there listening.
Why would you?
Because they're both such interesting people.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we got there and then, I don't know, I was in the speakeasy. You just suddenly walked in.
Yeah.
And he just like walked up. He was like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And, handshake, hug, whatever we did. And then just went on with our evening. Like it wasn't like wasn't a weird thing or anything. I mean, we spent so much time together.
I think other people made it more of a thing than we did. They were like, oh my goodness, we're here the first time they met. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And I remember some people asking me, like, even later in the weekend, like, so, do you guys get along? Like
no, I just want to kill him all the time.
Like, we haven't spent nearly 200 hours talking to each other already.
By that point, closer to 3, right? Because so many of those first...
That's true. So many of those episodes
first
were long.
season were close to 3 hours. But yeah, 250 hours easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
But yeah, I mean, it was like we'd been friends for years at that point.
Yeah.
We just hadn't actually been together in person, which I got to say, I mean, now post COVID, it's like, who cares if you're ever like, you don't need to be together in person. You can do so much online.
That was fantastic.
It was utterly natural, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
That was a great mood.
We got to talk to so many people, and not just, in person at the event, but on the episode, right? Go back and listen to that because it was an interview episode, but it wasn't with just one person. So we got to talk to Corey Olson, of course, because it's Mythmoot. We got to talk to John Garth. We got to talk to Douglas A. Henderson, of course. And then I think it's Mark Okrand, the guy who developed the Klingon language for Star Trek, among other fictional languages. It was just a fantastic opportunity to sit down with some amazing people. One thing I remember about that more than anything else was asking the room, because we were given the plenary room and there were no other talks competing against our live recording. And I said, okay, so how many here have heard of the Prancing Pony podcast? And I'm expecting like at least half the folks have heard about us. There were like 10 hands that went up. Like
there's hardly anybody.
Who we were. It was brilliant. And yet they stayed, which was good. And I think that gave us another big boost in terms of our listenership. We were able to tie into that Signum community. Of course, now we're, a big part of that community. We do a lot of things with Corey. We do a lot of things with Signum, and super excited to be a part.
I remember actually the year before, it must have been Mythmoot 4. Again, I think I was chatting with, it was probably Tom and maybe somebody else who was there at Mythmoot 4. And I remember like kind of talking to them on Twitter, and like some people were talking about us in Mythmoot 4. We were big enough that some people were talking about us and saying, oh, the Prancing Pony podcast really needs to come to Mythmoot. We need to join these two fandoms, these two circles. And then it happened. I mean, it's probably because of those discussions that it happened the following year.
I'm sure.
And it's been such a great community to be. We're still our own thing. We still got our own communities separately, but it's been great to have some crossover moments with them. I mean, we did the crossover with Corey, the following year, 2019, when we got to the Council of Elrond. Yeah. We went on his he came on our show first. We went on his show. But no, I mean, it's just been such a great community to be a part of. Yeah. And they've been so supportive. Corey's always been so supportive of this show, as well as everybody else in the whole Signum community, including somebody else who we interviewed that same season, good friend of ours, Serena Higgins.
That's right. Who's now editor-in-chief of Signum University Press. Yeah.
She was on episode 102. She had just published the Inklings and King Arthur book, which is still... And
she told us some deeply disturbing things about Charles Williams.
Boy, did she.
Boy, did she. Yeah.
The oddest Inkling indeed.
Oh, man. The most twisted Inkling, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, before we go ahead and get into the rest of the time that we've had together, 2019 and forward, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come right back. Well, before we get back to the discussion, we do want to make sure you know that when you finish listening to this episode, the talk continues all night long at the Prancing Pony podcast, even if Shawn's not there.
No. Well, the good news is our amazing listener community is going to keep the conversation going, and I am going to be there in all of our social media spaces, from our common room on Facebook to our Reddit community, Twitter, and more. And I still have moderator privileges, so be careful what you say around.
For now.
Hey, you said I was going to keep
I'm kidding. Yeah. So on Facebook, folks, just look for the Prancing Pony podcast. Be sure to follow the page, but also join the group for some really great discussions there.
And you can find us on Reddit at r/PrancingPonyPod. And we're also at Prancing Pony Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And don't forget to check out our new podcast, The Rings of Power Wrap-Up, where we discuss, analyze, and speculate all about Amazon's television adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth.
That's right. Alan, James, and Sarah are already taking deep dives into the lore behind the show, talking about their favorite themes and characters on the show, and a whole lot more. So look for the Rings of Power Wrap-Up and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And check out our social media at Rings Wrap-Up for more.
And please do us a favor. If you listen to the Rings of Power wrap-up, or ROPWOO as we call it, give us a rating and review over at Apple Podcast. In fact, maybe even if you don't yet, help us out. Go over to the Rings of Power wrap-up on Apple Podcast. Give us a rating and a review. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get into 2019. So at this point, I think this is when we started getting kind of ambitious, isn't it? I mean, ambitious beyond just asking Simon Tolkien to come on our show.
Yeah. I mean, because look, we'd done a moot.
Yeah.
You had gone to Oxenmoot.
Yeah.
And, been regaled as the celebrity you are there.
Oh, most people didn't know who I was. If it weren't for Bonnie giving me a cat bag to carry my stuff.
I remember that. She sent some stuff home with you for me, too.
She did. Yeah, it was fantastic seeing her and David there. And there were a few other folks, but most people had never heard of me.
I still haven't gotten to Oxenmoot in person. And now, look at us, like Shawn Gunner,
Yeah. He's going to come and be a co-host for a number of episodes. That's right.
And someday he and I are going to do the Two Shawns podcast we've been talking about.
Someday
when I have time.
Someday. So what other really kind of ambitious things? I mean, was it like Top Gear where we were ambitious but rubbish?
Yes.
Or is this like actually good stuff?
Certainly in one case it was ambitious but rubbish.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And I'm thinking of episode 114.
Oh, yeah.
That was the public release of our Patreon special on racing.
It wasn't rubbish, though. I mean, let's be real clear.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't rubbish. We
just
did
didn't go
some
far
good
enough with it.
We did some good work on it. We started with a question from a Patreon member about, was Tolkien a white supremacist?
Right.
Because I think she had heard some stuff about white supremacists latching onto Tolkien.
She was concerned that white supremacists were using Tolkien to justify their opinions and justify their positions. Yeah.
Right. And of course, I think we all know Tolkien was not a white supremacist. And, that's kind of where we started. But I think just in our rush to defend Tolkien, I think we went a little too far.
Probably.
We started, saying, well, look, how could you think this is racist and all this kind of stuff, which it was well intentioned, but these were mistakes.
Yeah.
And we learned that soon after it was released. We got some really hard feedback that we needed to hear about,
but helpful. Yeah.
You guys really shouldn't be the ones adjudicating whether something's racist or not. And that's absolutely valid. And so we did it. I'm glad we did it. I think it was a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I think it was really not rubbish. I think it's good. It just didn't go far enough. Yeah. And I think we just we made a logical leap that we probably shouldn't have made. But
that's true.
We ended up, I think, making good on it by bringing some other people in to talk about race the second time in, what was that, episode 192, I think?
I think so. It was a couple of years later, actually. It took us a little while to pull together a panel for that. But yeah. Yeah, it was 192.
Yeah, we kind of made good on it. And, hopefully it's a conversation that we'll continue having. Obviously, it is a conversation that...
Oh, it's certainly happening right now, isn't it?
It's certainly happening right now with Rings of Power coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad the conversation is happening. I'm not happy at the trolls out there who are saying absolutely disgusting racist things about the cast of the show. But I'm glad that the conversation is happening, and it's giving us all a chance to see what hate can look like and make us all try to be better people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Where do we go from there? Sorry, I kind of brought the mood down.
I know. It's like, well, now that we've talked about something incredibly serious, how do we get funny again? But we'll go funny. We'll go with 111. Yeah. I loved that. That was so much fun to put
111
together.
Was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of work, as Jordan can testify since he put together 222. I can tell you that when we did 111, I was the one who had to find all those clips and stitch them together and make the episode. And my goodness, that was a challenge, but it was so worth it and so fun to make episode 111 and hear all of those highlights chosen by our listeners, chosen by you people listening to this show right now.
Yeah.
Every single one of those was fan selected. And we had so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. Again, kind of like the 222 episode was, kind of like this episode is. It's just nice to take a pause and look back on the journey so far, what's gotten us to this point. And I like hearing from the fans in terms of what they like, because lots of times it's things that we don't even think about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
There'll be jokes that didn't really resonate much with us, but then people mention it as one of their favorite moments. We listen to it again, that was actually really pretty darn funny.
I know.
That's happened a few times.
I thought it was, right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good stuff.
I mean, also in early 2019 was our first keynote presentation, right?
Right.
That was TextMoot. You came to Waco. Well, you came to Austin.
Yeah. I flew to Austin. You picked me up, and I stayed at a hotel because your cat would have made me die.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Glad it didn't happen.
No, I'm too. It was a fantastic experience to actually get to spend time with you, right? We got to ride in your truck. Yep.
Drove, which I drive very slowly. I know.
It might have been an hour and a half long trip had I done it. It was like 2.5 hours with you. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we drove up to Waco. I mean, we drove up the morning of the event, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. Saturday morning. I think we left at I think you picked me up at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
I think so. Yeah. And we drove up there. I think it really was about an hour and a half drive. And I know why we did it, but I was so exhausted by the end of the night.
Oh, it was such a long day.
I remember, I think it was the cosplay panel.
Oh my goodness. We got to be judges on that. That was so much fun.
We got to be judges on the cosplay panel. You, me, and Corey, and I think one other guest were on the panel.
Oh, you're right. It was one other person.
I think there was a fourth.
There was a fourth.
But I just remember being completely punch drunk at that point. Like I was just being really goofy and really silly.
Oh, we were being so silly. Over the top silly.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Corey didn't seem to mind. He still answers our calls.
No, of course not. I also remember the amazing bread that Debbie brought to us.
Yes. Pumpkin bread, wasn't it?
Pumpkin bread. It was just fantastic.
That was delicious. Debbie, our resident horse expert.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic pumpkin bread.
Or to follow our alliteration trends, our equine expert.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was our first time meeting Chad in Texas, I believe.
It was. It was the first time meeting a number of people. Yeah.
Yep. That was a lot of fun.
That was. And of course, you took me to a really great barbecue joint in Austin the night before.
Yep. The Salt Lick.
That's it. The Salt Lick. Man, what a name for
I mean, look, it's not the best barbecue in Austin. It's kind of like the tourist place, but it's definitely something you got to experience.
Okay. Well, next time you take me to the best instead of just the touristy place.
Sadly, the best barbecue in Austin, you have to wait in line like 8 hours for.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, you can wait in line for 7.5 hours. I'll come join you at the end.
All right, you got
That's
it.
what you do for a guest, right? All right.
It's a deal. Yes.
I'm kidding.
What else happened that year? I mean, we had some more good interviews. Oh, right?
Yeah. We had Greg Hildebrandt. We had, I think, was that the year that we had Hammond and Skull? I think it was Wayne Hammond and Christina Skull.
I think it was. Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
That's when we had Corey finally do that crossover.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You'd mentioned it earlier that we had that crossover. So we were on the Council of Elrond, and we thought around the same time that he would be around the same spot, but of course he was still on many meetings, but it was close.
Yeah. That was the whole point was, months before?
Months.
Somebody had done the projections.
Yes.
And had figured out, the Prancing Pony podcast and Exploring Lord of the Rings are going to cross at the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
We're like, that sounds about right. That's perfect. What better time to get Corey on?
Let's do a crossover episode.
But of course, Corey being Corey, by the time we got there, he was
nowhere
not
near
there
it.
yet.
Yeah. He was weeks away from beginning that chapter. And of course, we spent at that time, I think, a record 5 episodes on that one chapter. He spent 14 months on that one chapter.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But yeah, we had a great time with him. It was so cool to not only have him come and co-host a show, which he's now used to doing, so it shouldn't be too difficult for him to come in next week, but also then for us to go on his show and co-host a little bit. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. But it actually was before that, as I'm thinking about it, because I think we recorded that September, October, maybe.
I think so.
Before that was Tolkien 2019 in August.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was in our hiatus. Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely an amazing time. Going to Birmingham.
One of the best events I've ever attended, yeah.
Yeah, such a fantastic moot. I remember Myth Moot 5, people starting to talk about Tolkien 2019, because it was a year away, and people already were hearing about it. And I remember talking to John Garth and asking, so if I had to go to Oxenmoot or Tolkien 2019, which one should I go to?
Yeah.
And John Garth said, Tolkien 2019, no question. Yeah. And I still haven't been to Oxenmoot, but I'm certain he was right, because Tolkien 2019 was fantastic.
I can tell you, I've been to 2 Oxenmoots in person and 1 digitally, and they are great. They are fantastic. You should go. You should go to every one digitally, and you should go to at least, one every few years in person. But Tolkien 2019 was, once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It truly was. And just an amazing event.
I remember right after we got there, you and I had walked across the street from the hotel to a Tesco to buy bottled water or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, some snacks. And as we're walking back, we're just talking. And this couple in front of us stopped to turn around. Are you Alan and Shawn?
Yeah.
On the street of Birmingham. But of course, they were, of course, attending Tolkien 2019. So it's not a surprise, but it was really neat to have that happen.
That was the second time that happened to me that weekend too. That day,
yeah.
I think, because when I first got there, you had gotten there the day before me.
Yeah,
Maybe you were
jet
sleeping
lag.
or something.
I really like to get a place before.
Yeah. But I got there, the day before, or like the morning before the event, like the first evening started.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember leaving the hotel for the first time, and similar story. Like I was just walking out of the hotel and somebody says, "Are you Shawn from the Prancing Pony podcast?" And I'm like, yeah. And he introduces himself, and it's Jeremy Udurloke from Tolkien Collector's Guide.
Oh, that's
so
great.
That's how I met him. Was
no
just
way.
like right outside the hotel. I guess he saw my face, and because I wasn't talking because I was alone. So he saw my face and he recognized me.
That's never stopped you before, sir.
That's true. So that was cool. I got to meet Jeremy that way. And of course, he's still a wonderful friend of the show, and, and just a good friend personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there was that couple that heard our voices, which was really cool.
That was pretty neat.
They recognized us by our voices.
Great stuff. But that event was fantastic. I mean, everything from, oh goodness, our GPS skit when we were doing the little entertainment
open mic night.
Open mic. Oh my goodness. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. We did the 2-part panel interview. We talked to...
so cool. So we got to talk like 5 or 6 people, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked to John Garth, of course.
Yeah, because we talked to him everywhere we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill Fliss.
Dimitri Fimi, Bill Fliss, Brian Sibley.
And of course, all I remember about Brian Sibley was him giving me grief about the very loud Hawaiian shirt that I was wearing at the time.
Which he was right to do.
By the way. Yeah. And then, of course, we also got to meet Richard Metherington. He's the guy behind, was it Puppet State Theater?
Yeah.
That does the one-man Leaf by Niggle, which
was a fantastic event in and of itself. Yeah.
If I'm going to pick one single highlight, from Tolkien 2019, if there's one thing I get to experience again, it would be that. Absolutely breathtaking performance. If you ever have a chance to see that live, well, I don't think it's ever going to be done live again. I think he's retired that. But if you ever find a video of that, watch it. It is absolutely amazing. Just
not a dry eye in the house by the end.
Not a dry eye, not at all.
It was beautiful.
Tears everywhere. Fantastic.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. So good. I could talk about Tolkien 2019 all night, but we did a lot of other things, of course, right?
Ted Naismith. Come on.
We
talked to Ted Naismith in the lobby. We had Sean Gunner laughing in the background.
Going,
yeah, that's wonderful. And that's started a great tradition now. I think it is our tradition now to try and get Shawn laughing in the background anytime he's around.
Yes. As many times as we can.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. We kept trying to get him to actually join us on the show that weekend, but of course he was pretty busy running Tolkien 2019.
He was quite busy.
We at least got his laugh. That was good stuff. But he'll be joining me right after Corey, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And we got to go have burgers with him in London this last time.
We did. That's right. He wanted us to all go to Five Guys.
That exotic import restaurant.
Well, I suppose if you're in England, that is somewhat exotic.
Yeah, exactly.
So sad.
All right.
So 2020. Did anything happen in 2020? Any unusual things that happened? Trying to remember.
I don't remember any real big news in 2020.
Tom Hanks got sick. I remember that. And then they stopped playing basketball. That was about it, right? Oh, yes.
The world fell apart. Yeah.
The world pretty much came to a screeching halt.
Yeah. But hey, look, it ended up being an all right time for us. I mean, I think.
Oh, it did. Absolutely.
For a podcast.
At first, podcasts suffered. First, I remember because, I study the industry.
That's right. Yeah, they did for a while, didn't they?
Because people weren't commuting and people weren't going to the gym. The amount of people listening to podcasts in general dropped pretty drastically in March and April. But then people started realizing this is the new normal and folks started listening again. And we had more and more new listeners, growing our audience, growing our community. And it was really, really an interesting opportunity. Obviously, we wouldn't wish it on anybody. It was a disaster that this all happened, but we're so glad that we could be there as an encouragement, as your Tolkien friends in your ear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really neat to be able to be a support for folks. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that was also right around the time that I had started a new job, and that was like the first time that I thought I wasn't going to be able to continue with the podcast.
That's right. No, that's absolutely right. That was right around the time that we made the move to Spreaker. It was, I think you came to me in April, and I knew that we were making that move in June. And I thought, well, you know what? We're going to start bringing in a little bit more money. We can use it to hire a team. And so we completely revamped our workload. Because you and I had been doing it 50-50 right up until then.
Yeah.
And I think the thing was just you couldn't keep putting in those hours. And you would have ended up leaving then had we not, made this change. But that's when we brought on social media coordinator and editor and Patreon community coordinator and Barlaman and all of these things to help shift the workload responsibilities around so that you didn't have to do as much. I could offload things that I was doing. Like I had been the one editing all the episodes up until the end of season 4. Yeah, season 4. And by offloading that to Jordan, I knew that now I could take on more writing, which was one of the things that you were having some challenges with. So it was fantastic. I mean, it was really kind of serendipitous timing, if you want to call it that. I don't think there are too many coincidences, but we were able to keep you on board simply because of that move to Spreaker, really. Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that. It was scary. It was, again, the first time that I thought, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing this. And and fortunately, we were able to make it work. And it's only, like you said, it's only because of Spreaker. It's only because of bringing on the team and shuffling up the workload. And I'm glad we did.
I'm glad we did too. Our team has been fantastic. Each of the people that we hired at that time is still with the show.
That's right. Yeah, we've had
zero
turnover.
Been 2 years with zero turnover, and we're happy to say that we've been bringing enough revenue that recently we gave everybody a 25% raise.
Yep.
Of course, what's the line from Serenity? Well, carry the zero, still zero. No, we've been able to help take care of our folks, and it's been just a really great team to work with. And we're super thankful for everybody.
Yeah. It really, really has been great. And it's just been great getting to know them. All those people that we thank at the end of every episode, and we will at the end of this episode.
That's right. That's absolutely
I
right.
appreciate you all so much. And thank you for allowing me to keep doing this show for another couple of years.
Yeah. And thank you guys for, I owe you that same thanks, because without you coming along, Shawn would have left over 2 years ago. So I'm really, really grateful for all that you've done.
Yep.
What else 2020? Well, everything was online, right? I mean, everything. You were working online. You were having meetings with your friends online. We also happen to have moots online. So I think we both were involved with both Myth Moot and Oxen Moot.
Yep. Those were both great. I mean, it was kind of an experiment at the time.
It was. It really was.
And it generally worked.
And it kind of gave us the idea, really, for us to do ours the following year. We saw how an online moot could work. And we also saw some areas for improvement. And it helped us shape that concept. But we started the season with, well, really history, right? I mean, episode 179, we were interviewing folks about online moots during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was a whole new thing that the entire community was coming together to accomplish.
So what? We interviewed, I think, Shawn Gunner about Oxen Moot, and we interviewed Mike Percival and Elena Davison from the Tolkien Society. They basically run Oxen Moot, and they were running it that year.
And every year, it seems. I mean, maybe it's not every year in the past, but it seems like the last several have been those two running the show.
Yeah. We talked to Luke Shelton.
Yeah.
And, of course, Corey Olson.
Of course, yeah.
By that time, obviously the pandemic was still, going
6 months
on
in, right,
hot and heavy, but by that time we were all kind of starting to get used to it a little bit, and I thought it was a neat moment just to see the ingenuity of people in the Tolkien community and how we can adapt to this unprecedented situation and still come together
and really thrive in terms of community, because it gave people a chance to attend these events who would not otherwise have been able to.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, I can't always fly to Oxford, fly to London, take a train to Oxford. That's not going to happen every year. It's just too expensive. And there are folks who can't do that at all. So for them to be able to attend these moots online, it was really huge to see just a whole different demographic, a whole different group of people who would not have been able to come in person. Just really wonderful times.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we managed to do our own moot the next year.
We did. We did. It was in May. Yeah, we did this online moot. And I remember, okay, I remember a lot about that moot. I remember, first of all, having a lot more people than I thought we'd have. But the thing I remember the most was probably embarrassing Katie by pretending to forget to thank her when we actually just saved the best for last and wanted to give her a little special gift.
That was my favorite moment of the whole moot.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember we'd just done like a big round of thanks.
Oh,
just kept going
huge
on
thanks
and
to
on
everybody
and on.
else, just praising all the helpers and the volunteers and blah, blah, blah.
Then we started thanking each other and thanking all the attendees, and we started getting all this, like Slack just started blowing up. Like, guys.
Oh my goodness. They were like, you idiots. You're
guys,
forgetting
Katie. You're forgetting Katie. You jerks. You're forgetting Katie.
I know, seriously.
And there's like, Katie, we love you even if Alan and Shawn don't appreciate you. Like all this kind of stuff coming up in Slack. Like, and we kept it going for a nice long time. And I was proud of us for that.
We did, yeah. That was terrible, but good.
And yeah, we gave her I think a nice gift.
Yeah.
And I think we made her cry, which is always a success when we can make Katie cry.
I suppose
happy
it depends,
tears.
Right? Not all tears are evil, but some are.
Happy tears. We like to make Katie cry happy tears.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was great.
It was fun to do a moot. We had a great quiz. We had great keynote speakers. We had just a wonderful opportunity to spend time with so many people.
Yeah.
What else in 2021? Yeah. Oh, well, that's when we revisited race, right? That's when we had our little small group come together and to do that series of interviews. That really opened our eyes to how other people experience the text and how other people experience the community. That was really fixing an oversight, but it helped us too, I think. It really helped us to get a grasp on that. I mean, we are a couple white guys, so
so I mean, we see it from our perspective, and that limits what we see. And talking to people of color, talking to people of different cultural backgrounds, whether it's religion or culture or or the color of their skin, I think it was a great conversation that we had with three just really awesome guests who came in and didn't pull any punches. I don't think. They were really honest about what they've experienced in the text, that they had some challenges with, and problems in the community that they'd had, and it was really eye opening for me. And I sound like such a white guy, right? Like, oh, I didn't know that this was such a problem for people, and I feel terrible saying that, but it is the truth. I had not experienced it. Of course I hadn't experienced it, so I had not realized.
You can only know what you experience, and in this case, we were able to experience it, through their stories, and it was a way for us to understand what we couldn't have known previously. So, yeah.
So I'm really thankful that we had the opportunity to do that. Again, our first look at race was limited, and I'm glad we've corrected somewhat. And I think that if we ever decide to do this conversation again, or if you ever decide to do it again, and I come join you, which I would love to do actually sometime.
I would too.
I think we could even just do it even better.
I think so too.
With bringing different people in. So I think that would be great.
And just like before, when we talked about the first race episode, we were both like, well, now what? I'm going to go with something funny. What else do we do? That was at the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the next season, but still on the calendar year, was our 222 special, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
That was fantastic.
That was a lot of fun.
Yet another
the
clip
Double
show.
Nelson special.
The Double Nelson, that's right. And this time we had to thank Jordan for stitching together the amazing clip selections chosen by fans. Yeah. So much fun.
Yep. That was an absolutely fun one.
Yeah.
You have to do triple Nelson for 333.
We're going to have to, right? Yeah. You say I, but I think I can hopefully bring you back on for that one. We'll have to see.
That sounds like a good idea. Maybe we should try to do that.
I mean, 333, it's a long ways off. It's not as long as you think, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's not going to be this season. It'll be probably, I don't know, December, January of the following season. So, a year and a half from now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see.
Let's keep that as an idea.
We'll play that by ear.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what else in 2021? Later in the season, not later in the season, later in the calendar year, was when we interviewed John Howe. But earlier that season, we'd also interviewed Carl Hostetter. So those were a couple of great ways to start out that season.
John Howe was so great. I mean,
wasn't he?
Talk about just lifelong dream to talk to John Howe, because he was my first favorite Tolkien artist. I have a lot of favorite Tolkien artists now, but he was my first favorite Tolkien artist. And it was so cool to talk to him.
It really was.
Carl Hostetter, Nature of Middle Earth. I mean,
Nature of Middle Earth. What a project that was, huh?
Yeah. So just awesome stuff. And I'm so glad we did it.
I am too.
And then this year.
And so much has happened this year, right? Early in the year, we launched the Rings of Power wrap-up. We knew it was going to come, right? We've been talking about it ever since the Amazon show was announced. We knew we wanted to do something.
Almost exactly 6 years after we launched the PPP.
I know. I didn't realize that until you pointed that out. But you're right. It was right almost within just a couple of weeks of the launch, of the 6-year anniversary of our launch.
But you're right. I mean, I think I remember even talking about it at Tolkien 2019 when some of the early news was starting to trickle in.
Yeah.
And we both knew that we wanted to get in on the ground floor of what we hoped and continue to hope will be a phenomenon in the Tolkien fandom. We hoped it would be great. I still haven't seen it. I know you have. Don't say anything.
I'm not going
But by the time this comes out, I will have seen it. And
well, yeah, that's true. By the time this episode airs on September 18th, we will all have seen the first, 3 or 4 episodes by that point, right? It was just exciting stuff. But we knew that this was going to represent an opportunity to grow the fandom, right? Whether the show is good, bad, or in between, it will draw new fans to Tolkien. Full stop. The Hobbit films, which we mocked incessantly for being terrible cinema and terrible adaptations, still brought fans to the fandom. And for that, I am thankful. So no matter what happens with the Amazon production, I'm excited to know that it will grow our communities. And I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to position ourselves as maybe a balanced voice to sort of talk about the show in a way that was maybe critical where necessary, but also complimentary where necessary or where appropriate, and to be a welcoming voice for these new people in the community, and to hopefully then say, hey, go back to the Prancing Pony podcast and read the books with us. Yeah. Go and sit with us for hours and hours and hours and do it, right?
Yeah. And I think that is exactly what the Rings of Power wrap-up is going to be. I'm super excited that you brought on James and Sarah to continue
James Tauber and Sarah Brown. Wow. I mean...
dude. I mean, look. We've had some good times, man, but that is... The three of you are going to be fantastic.
That will be a really fun pair.
That's going to be... I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. That's going to be so much better than anything that you and I can do. Because we've been doing this so long that... we joke about we agree on everything and, all that stuff.
Yeah, we kind of do. That's not going to happen with James and Sarah. I can tell you that.
No, it's not. And they're going to bring different takes. First of all, James has the classical background and the word nerd background that I do, except he's, a level 27 word nerd.
You're an advanced level 14 word nerd, and he's just off the charts.
Yeah. And Sarah is amazing.
She is. She's got this razor sharp wit. I mean,
yes, she does.
I have a feeling I'm going to get cut down to size far more often than I'm comfortable with.
I hope so.
She will keep me humble.
Sarah's great. She's brilliant. She's a fantastic speaker. She's a fantastic teacher.
Yes.
And just a presence in the Tolkien social media sphere. I just think she's going to be fantastic. So you're in good hands, folks. So much better than if it were just me and Alan. Honestly.
Well, I don't want to say that, but I am excited for the fact that it's 3 of us. Yeah,
it's totally fine. It is going to be so great. It's going to be so much better. Absolutely.
It will be a lot of fun. And I'm just really looking forward to that. We're as of the recording of this episode, I mean, obviously you're listening to it on September 18th or later, so you've already heard us. But as of the recording of this episode, we are 2 days away from the debut of the Rings of Power and 3 days away from the release of the first episode of the Rings of Power wrap-up.
Yep.
The first reaction episode. Not really the first episode, because we've already launched, 14 episodes as we walked through the trailers and the teasers and the interview with Leith, which was fantastic. And then, of course, the Foundation episodes on the different races. Yep. So good.
So,
But let's talk about that, because that connection with the Amazon show, that connection with that part of the community is what led us to our most recent and now sadly sort of our last in-person PPP event together.
Yeah, I know the London event for Amazon where we got to, I mean, look, it was a fantastic event. I mean,
Oh, it was.
Not only did we get to meet JD Payne and Patrick McKay, but we got to hang out with so many old friends, meet some new friends, just a fantastic time. London, one of my favorite cities in the world, so it's always nice to be there.
It was wonderful.
Enjoyed getting lost with Matt from Nerd of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just super fun stuff. But yeah.
That wonderful party put on by the OneRing.net that we got to go to at that pub. Getting to see and talk to John Howe and to Leith McPherson and to and production designer Ramsey Avery. It was fantastic to get to talk to all of them. And of course, we couldn't talk about that at the time. We could mention JD and Patrick, but we couldn't talk about those others at the time. And that was a bit of a challenge, but it was such an experience. And I think it gave us both really so much optimism, so much hope for the show.
Yeah, it really did. And I still have that optimism. And again, I know you've seen it. You've seen the first 2 episodes at least.
I promise you.
I know. But I'm still excited, and I'm really looking forward to a couple of days from now. But like you said, it is kind of sad in hindsight because it was the last time we were together as Alan and Shawn of the Prancing Pony podcast. But I mean, look, we're going to be together in Milwaukee.
Exactly.
in October.
We'll be together at the PPP moot, and that's only, a month and a half away. I'm not worried.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure that you'll be welcome back at future moots. I'm sure that we will be doing,
hope so.
Book tour events together when our book gets published.
Yeah.
At least I hope so. So
absolutely.
There'll be plenty of opportunities. We're still
absolutely.
You're not disappearing from the world. You're just
exactly. No. And in fact,
disappearing as the permanent co-host. Yeah.
And in fact, because I am just not going to have the time, I think this is a way for me to stay engaged with the world.
I hope so.
In a way that I wouldn't be able to if I were still doing the podcast. So what else in 2022 before we kind of wrap this up and look ahead to the future? Well, obviously Dom and Billy, right?
Oh yeah. Wrapping up season 6 with an interview with Dom and Billy was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are hilarious and so much fun.
Yeah.
And of course, we can talk about the thing in 2022 that hasn't happened yet, but is going to, our moot.
Yeah. Milwaukee, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Going to be super exciting to see so many people there. I mean, even now with, 6 weeks to go, we already have well over 100 people committed to being there in person. And I can't even remember how many people we have online, but I expect we'll end up with 300 or 400.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be fantastic. The keynote speakers that we have with Corey Olson, Mike Trout, and Verlin Flieger. I don't know that you could get a better lineup of speakers.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. It's going to be incredible.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to coming back on the show as often as I can this coming season.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be back for 8 philology fairs and for 4 full episodes. So
yep.
Can't wait for
Not
any of those.
really going anywhere, folks.
No, we can't get rid of you even if we wanted to. Thankfully, we don't want to.
And we, you're too kind. I was going to say, and we do want to.
Oh, no way. No.
Well, what else do we have? I feel like this has been a pretty long episode, but that's okay.
Well, it's been a long 6.5 years.
It has felt so long. It's felt like 13. No, I mean, look, you've got, I'm so excited for the future. You got what? Corey coming on next week for QAN.
Yeah. And then for the intro to book 5, followed by the first 2 episodes for Minas Tirith. Now, I have to tell you, Minas Tirith is the only chapter that we're breaking up into 2 separate co-hosts. And it's just because of the QAN and because of the intro to book 5, it would have meant giving 7 episodes to one person. And 1, I didn't think Corey could do it. And 2, I didn't want to start off giving 7 episodes to one person. It just felt like, I really wanted to set a precedent that we're doing between 3 and 5. And that's what it is. Everybody's doing between 3 and 5. So the rest of Minas Tirith, 3 more episodes, I'll be joined by Shawn Gunner. And then after that, I don't remember exactly the order, but I believe Don Marshall, the obscure Lord of the Rings facts guy on TikTok, he's joining me for 5 episodes. And then we've got a whole bunch of others. We've got Matt from the Nerd of the Rings. We've got New Betta Do Betta from TikTok. We've got James Tauber. We've got Sarah Brown. You're coming back. We have Marcel, the Tolkienist, is going to be joining me. Mm-hmm. He's actually joining me. One of the episodes he gets to do with me is the Tolkien Reading Day episode. And I really, out of all the co-hosts that I've got, I can't imagine a better one for that particular episode. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
So So many amazing people. I don't think I've forgotten any. And of course, we had so many yeses that we've even got backups, Jeremy Edmonds and Kelly Rice. Kelly, of course, from the Happy Hobbit, and Jeremy from the Tolkien Collector's Guide. There may be some others. Eventually, I'd like to get Caitlin on from Tea with Tolkien, but right now she's a little busy with her family situation.
Yeah.
And then possibly also Serena may join us again in the future as well. So we've got so much going on, and I'm so excited.
Yep.
Again, I'm going to miss you, but I am excited for the future.
Absolutely. I'm going to miss being here every week, Alan. I really am. But I'm going to be listening, and I'm going to be commenting more than you want me to on social media. And it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited for the coming season.
I am too. So should we sing The Show Must Go On?
No, let's not do that. Let's not ruin this nice moment with bad Freddie Mercury impressions.
Well, that's true, because any impression that we give of Freddie Mercury is going to, by definition, be bad.
Yeah, no. I put that in the notes just in case we felt up to it, but I definitely do not feel up to it.
All right. Well, I'm glad. Still, though, my friend, despite the fact that you told me about this a few weeks ago, and I've worked super hard over the last few weeks to put together a great plan for the future of both shows, I genuinely still have a hard time believing this is it. But we have always said from the very beginning that families and day jobs come first. And I want you to know, and I know you know this because we've talked about this a dozen times, but I feel like this needs to be said in front of our people. I fully support you in doing what's best for you in both of those priorities.
Thank you.
I am
Thank you.
definitely going to miss talking about my favorite subject with one of my best friends for 3 hours every week. That's going to be a difficult thing, but I am really glad that you're going to be coming back to the common room now and then.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited for everything you've got coming. I really am. And
Thanks.
Seriously, I'll be back soon.
I know you will, man. I know. We've got philology fairs all lined up. It's great.
Yep.
It absolutely is, folks. I can't wait to have you on, Shawn, and have our people already be able to look forward to hearing you again.
Same here. Thank you.
But before we wrap up, Bartleman has refused to give Shawn a mailbag. I think Bartleman's trying to get Shawn to stick around. So we're going to have to wing it for listener questions tonight. We do happen to have our Discord audience listening in right now. Those of you who have been listening to the show for a while but aren't part of our Patreon community, you may know that one of the things that you get if you're part of our fellowship of the podcast is the ability to listen in to a live episode recording once a month. Well, that community is here right now, and we're going to open up for questions from them. So they're going to tell us in the chat who has a good, preferably speculative or opinion-based question that you've always wanted to ask Shawn. And this is your last chance to do exactly that.
I'm a little scared, but here we go.
I know, I am too. All right, well, we do have our first question from the Discord live audience. And this question comes from Erin. She asks, if you could share a drink with one member of the fellowship, who would it be and why?
Oh, man, that's a hard one.
Well, but it's got an answer, right?
I think Sam.
Okay.
Because Sam is a down-to-earth guy. You know, when you share a drink, you're not just sitting there pounding alcohol until you get blackout drunk. You're sharing time with somebody. You're sharing conversation, right?
I thought the purpose of drinking was to get drunk.
No,
I'm
the
kidding,
purpose
I'm
of drinking
kidding.
is to spend time with friends.
Yes, of course.
And, kind of relax and help you have a good time. And I think that would be Sam. First of all, I think he and I would like the same kind of beers.
Probably, yes.
Sam is definitely into his ales, like good English ales. And I would totally be down with that. I bet Sam gets down with a nice Belgian ale every once in a while.
I'm sure he does.
And that would be a lot of fun. He would be a fun guy to talk to. What are you going to sit around and drink with Legolas? No, I'm not going to sit around and drink with Legolas.
No,
Come on.
Gimli, though.
Aragorn, maybe. No, because Gimli just gets drunk.
That's true.
And maybe I'm influenced too much by the Peter Jackson movies here, but Gimli definitely is not the guy I want to. Gimli's just going to drink me under the table with dwarf stamina.
Right, exactly.
I know you don't drink, Alan, but who would you want to share a drink with if you had a nice sparkling cider or something?
Gandalf.
Really?
I would just love to kind of pick his brain and hang out and hear his stories. I don't know that anybody would have better stories. Certainly nobody would have more, except for maybe Legolas. But Gandalf.
Okay, I like that one. Gandalf's not going to tell you any stories. You know that, right? He's
That's
very
true,
close.
especially Gandalf 2.0. He's more close than before.
Exactly, yeah. But no, I appreciate that answer. I like that one. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you indeed, Aaron. All right, well, we've got time for one more. Ed asks, who's better Eowyn or Eärendil? And now
Oh,
I'm
man.
just going to leave you to just absolutely stew in a question that is unanswerable for you.
Does not compute. Does not compute.
Divide by 0.
Yeah, my CPU is just about to explode.
Oh, man.
Wow.
You're stuck.
This is a hard one.
Oh, my goodness. This is funny.
Eärendil is my favorite character in the Legendarium because I've said this before, he's the center of it all, you know? I told you about my hourglass diagram that I have in my head.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like
The
the
entire
whole
first
stage
age
is
filtering to
is like-
Eärendil.
yeah,
and the
and then
rest
the whole
of the
second and third
history.
age
Yeah.
coming out of that. So I love that because really without Eärendil, there's no Legendarium at all.
That's true. There's no Eowyn without Eärendil. It's true.
That's true. So part of me wants to say Eärendil, but
Yeah, I knew there'd be a but.
there's a but. I mean, Eowyn is such a fantastic character.
Oh, she is.
And she gets more time. You know, Eärendil is just kind of sketched out. We
Yeah.
don't ever really get to know him.
Yeah, he gets very, very little stage time, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's kind of the mystery. That's kind of the appeal in a way,
Mm-hmm.
that there's not more there. And I remember Verlin Flieger having some really interesting things to say about that in a talk she once gave about, you know, the fact that we never quite learn that much about Eärendil. We never really quite get to know him. Whereas Eowyn, we do. And I really like her character. I absolutely love her arc. I love her dialogue. I love when she, you know, her dialogue with Aragorn in the Passing of the Grey Company chapter,
Mm-hmm.
when she just basically gets angry and just
she's
tells
ticked.
him off.
I love it. Yeah. Her
she's
anger is
ticked, and it's
absolutely righteous, too.
absolutely righteous anger. I love that moment. And there's just so many great moments like that with Eowyn. And at the end of the day, it was Eowyn that, you know, I mean, it was Lord of the Rings that first attracted me to this world. And it was Eowyn as a character who first kind of grabbed me. And it's just like, wow, she's really cool. And so I think man, 6 years of Eärendil jokes, and I think I'm going to answer Eowyn.
Wow. Knock me over with a feather. I figured you either go Eärendil or you couldn't answer at all. You just freeze. I'm very, very surprised. That's brilliant, though.
It's a hard one. It's a really hard one.
It is.
But it's just because there's just more there.
That's fair. There really is more there. It's you don't know Eärendil. I mean, you know his boat better than you know him.
Right, yeah.
But, you know Eowyn, right?
Eärendil is a symbol of something, you know, it's the symbol of hope, and it's a connection to our world because you can look up in the sky and see the evening star or the morning star.
Yeah.
And I do. And every time I see it, I'm like, there's Eärendil. But Eowyn is a character, and I love her as a character. So yeah, Eowyn.
Wow. Great stuff. That I absolutely love that answer. But that does wrap it up for another episode of the Prancing Pony podcast. Please be sure to join us again next week for another of our quarterly Questions After Nightfall episodes. Our guests there will be getting one of the best possible folks to answer their questions as Corey Olson joins me for the first of 4 straight episodes. We're going to do an intro to Book 5 in 2 weeks, and then on October 9th, we'll return to the text with Chapter 1 of Book 5, Minas Tirith.
I got to say, I'm looking forward to hearing that QAN with Corey. The questions people are going to have for him and just his answers. First of all, he's not going to hem and haw like we always have to do. He's just going to answer him right away.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, man. I love you, but something tells me you're just going to be nodding along and saying, yes, that's right. What he said.
Yeah. My job will be very easy. It'll be Questions After Nightfall with Corey Olson.
Right. Exactly.
Moderated by Alan Sisto. Yeah.
Exactly. No, seriously. You're going to be fine. You're going to do great. But honestly, when we get to Minas Tirith, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about my favorite passage from that chapter, which is the one about the homesteads there were with Ost and Garner, Fold and Byre.
Oh, that is going to be great. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be good.
Which is 4 words that I would have just spent hours of word
Ost and Garner,
on, so.
Fold and Byre. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he'll probably spend an entire episode of exploring the Lord of the Rings on those 4 words in the 9 years when he gets there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in closing, folks, I want to take a moment to personally thank the team that helps make this show better.
Oh, yeah.
That's our research assistants, as well as our Barlowman, Becca Davis, editor Jordan Rennells, social media manager Casey Hilsey, event and Patreon community coordinator Katie McKenna, and website guru Phil Dean.
And speaking of the website, please be sure to give us a visit there at theprancingponypodcast.com. Our completely redesigned site should be up and running now, or it will be very soon. We've got show notes, hilarious outtakes. We've got Prancing Pony ponderings from Shawn and I, and we've got our online storefront where you can get all sorts of PPP merch.
And definitely check out our library page. You know we love the books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, and we have provided links for you to get nearly every book we mentioned on the show. And we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so thank you.
Now, we do want to thank some more really important people. Our patrons at the Kierdan's contribution tier. I'm going to start with DeMay in Alaska, James in Virginia, Tamsin in Minnesota, Chad in Texas, Lance in New Jersey, Paul in Colorado, Jerry in Texas, Mario in Utah, B in California, Joseph in Texas, Kathy from North Carolina, Lori from Washington, Carlos in California, Brian in the UK, and Ned from Connecticut.
And there's also Jerry from Washington, Joe in Washington, Erwin from the Netherlands, Dylan in Australia, Ben in Minnesota, Anthony in Texas, Karen in the UK, Zaksu in Illinois, Jim in Maryland, Brian in Texas, Sarah in New Jersey, June in Ireland, Brad in Massachusetts, and Joshua in Massachusetts. Folks, thank you all so very much for your support. And everyone listening, please be sure you don't miss any episodes of the Prancing Pony Podcast. Subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. And finally, Alan, thank you for more than 6 amazing years of doing this podcast together. I'm leaving the booth for a little while, but the gear is all still there, and I will be coming back as often as I can, and I'm looking forward to it.
You better, man.
And as I've said, I'll be listening in the meantime, and I'm super excited for all the guests you have lined up.
I'm too, but gonna miss you, man. One last thing as always, don't forget, folks, to send your thoughts, comments, and most of all, your favorite moments from the last 6 years of the PPP so I can send them to Shawn and remind him of what he's missing out on, to Barlaman at theprancingponypodcast.com. And if you want a chance to have your actual voice heard, you can send us audio of you asking your question by visiting podinbox.com/prancingponypod and record your question for us.
Just please make sure to still send the question to Barlaman for us. Barlaman is a lot more reliable than he used to be, but we do get an awful lot of mail. So Alan will get to you as soon as he can. Sorry, man.
You're right.
Leaving that one with you.
Brutal.
And your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
As always, this episode has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners, and 6 years is far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable company as a co-host.
Yes, it has been far too short a time to spend among you, but this is the end. I am going. I am leaving now. Goodbye.